The keys to the game are brought to you by AutoNation. AutoNation drives pink to help drive out cancer. Over $28 million donated so far to cancer treatment and research. Do your part and drive pink in a new car or truck. For the AutoNation store near you, visit AutoNation.com. All right, welcome back to the show. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr., and Josh Darrow. Time now for the keys to the game. How can Miami win this game at home against North Carolina State? We have come up with these keys to the game. Hurricanes offensive line, I think they're improving. Got to win in the trenches against a very physical North Carolina State team, trying to figure out how to get over 100 yards rushing. You mentioned it earlier, Don. Can't throw 3 interceptions and win the football game. And then win on the perimeter. State is really big with their wide receivers and really experienced in their secondary. So let's start with key number one. Right in your wheelhouse, win in the trenches.
Well, the good news is Miami is coming off, I believe, their best game in the last 2 years as an offensive line. They did a phenomenal job both protecting the quarterback last week against North Carolina. There were times when you could count to 10 before Tyler had to throw the football. The running game exploded. A lot of that had to do with Knighton, but it also has to do with that offensive line as well. So this is a week where the offensive line just has to build on that. And you look at the production, Zion Nelson coming off an injury that he had in camp, he looks like he's supposed to look right now. And Ja'Kai Clark is settled in at that center position, and Navon Donaldson's finally looking like that Navon Donaldson. I think it'll come together well for Miami.
I also think the right side of the line sort of has solidified itself with two guys that have kind of been mismatched. You know, like DJ Scaife, they wanted to play on the outside. He's looked good inside. Jared Williams has been here for a while and is good in the run game. And then we talked about before with Jalen Knighton or Rhett Lash. We talked about how Rhett Lashley has had to maybe rethink some things with his quarterback because he doesn't have a guy as mobile as De'Ara King. Well, Jalen Knighton now gives them some other things to play with in the running game, which they've been introducing over the last couple of weeks to complement the inside zone. They've been, running more of the outside zone. I think they ran a toss once or twice in the North Carolina game. So I think, again, their offense has had that I think you used the word reboot at one point, right? So the offense is continually kind of resetting itself because of the personnel changes, but that also might open some things up for the offense and Rhett Lashley to dive into his playbook.
State's quarterback, Leary, is throwing 15 touchdowns. Only 2 interceptions. Miami's got to figure out how to take the ball away from him, but more importantly, protect the football. Last week it was interceptions with Van Dyke throwing into the teeth of the defense. Miami's got to do a good job of decoding this defense, and he's got to do a better job, I think, of scanning the field and surveying the situation.
You're not going to win football games losing the turnover battle 3-1. It's not going to happen. It's very, very rare. And what does Van Dyke learn from that? If the ball is not there, if the receiver's not there, throw the ball away. Get rid of it. Live for another day. You cannot give the opponent extra possessions. And you see what happened last week when North Carolina State was at Boston College. And yeah, it was a scoop and score on a special teams play, but it's a takeaway. It's a giant play. It infuses energy into the opponent, and that's something you have to be careful of. And you have to, if you're running the football, you're going to have to hold it high and tight because that's a part of it as well. They got to make sure that the backs hold on to it.
Well, we saw that firsthand in Chapel Hill. Jafari Harvey made a play that when Miami's offense was struggling a little bit in the first half, he made a play that recaptured the momentum early on, for the University of Miami. And it was good to break out the chain and the rings. We got a 2-for-1 situation. But yeah, I think the big thing for Miami, and I think Coach Diaz has talked about it, we've talked about it, is you got to do everything you can to help yourself. Where you are right now, whether it's needing a win, the personnel changes, the injuries, so turnovers, penalties, those kinds of things, you have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself and put yourself in the best position to win. And to Don's point, to Tyler Van Dyke, if it's not there, get the third down, get the second down, but don't give the ball back and let them start a drive.
They talked about, we put this in there, win on the perimeter. Offensively, North Carolina State has a couple of wide receivers. Emeka Emezi, 34 catches, he's a big receiver. Devin Carter's a big receiver. Thayer's a very experienced receiver. So the Miami secondary, they got to make big plays on the perimeter. Conversely, the North Carolina State secondary, 5 guys back there, all with a lot of experience, all with good size, all ball hawks. Miami wide receivers are going to have to win the 50-50 ball.
Well, I'll start on the Miami receiver side. First of all, a year ago today, we would be struggling to have a conversation about Miami's receivers. They were not performing at a level that would win football games. What a difference a year makes. Now you're finding guys, and Rambo was a big part of it. Harley obviously has his role. Smith is there. Restrepo is there. You've got the three amigos. I mean, they turned a position really that was a great concern during last season into the strength maybe of this offense. So I have confidence in those guys. I have confidence in Rhett Lashley that he will get our receivers the ball on the perimeter. And after what Miami did on the offensive line last week as far as protection goes, Van Dyke's going to have it. You go to the other side of it, you have Leary, who we know is having a great year. Very productive, high touchdown count to low interceptions. But Miami's secondary's got to make the play once they catch the football. Let's give them the catch. You got to make the tackle. You got to attack the ball carrier, and hopefully you can come up with turnovers.
And the other thing too, on the perimeter, they're big at the receiver spot. Their running backs are big too. Mm-hmm. So you got to tackle on tackle on the perimeter. Go up and fight for the football if you're a defensive back, right? Because those guys are going to go grab the football. They high point the ball. They get after the ball. They help their quarterback out. And then I agree with Don. I mean, the big thing for Miami in terms of the receiver group coming in was contested catches. We saw it in Chapel Hill. Those receivers made some really, really tough catches. And that's what you're supposed to do. Whether it's Tyler Van Dyke or De'Ara King, it doesn't matter. Your job is, if the ball's there, you got to go fight. Keyshawn Smith Rambo made catches. Restrepo, went up and, got a ball and broke tackles. So Miami needs that on both sides. Both sides on the perimeter have to be tough. That's the receivers as well as the defensive backs.
It's going to be a Saturday night at Hard Rock Stadium, Miami and North Carolina State. Another great opportunity for the University of Miami to change the path of their season against 18th ranked North Carolina State. For head coach Manny Diaz, Don Bailey Jr., and Josh Darrow, I'm Joe Zagacki. Thanks for joining us here on the Manny Diaz Show, and we'll see you next time.